Hello guys, my name is Rohit Lodha. So we'll be studying geography optional from now onwards for at least up to 4 months, 4 to 4.5 months. So we'll try to cover entire syllabus geography. Along with that, we'll also try to concretize each and every aspect of geography as much as possible. Mostly we'll cover all the aspects of geography over here. Now, see, introduction related to geography, so I have already given in one of my lecture in the introductory section, and that is also there on the YouTube. To give you a brief idea about this particular subject, as in a little bit idea about this subject over here is, geography is basically, I'll make sure that you get confront with the reality right now, because you have chosen this optional. Now, geography is a big optional. There is no doubt about that. You will see that there are other optionals which are small, which can be finished and all those things, but geography is a big optional. So you have to take more efforts in geography compared to other subjects. That is for sure. You have to take more efforts. But the thing is, if you take more efforts in this subject, that gives more dividend in other parts as well. Along with the marks which you can score over here, it's a conceptual part basically. Geography is a conceptual part. So if after going through the entire subject, if you understand each and every aspect of this subject, if you understand each and every concept, then entire geography syllabus can be reduced significantly, and you will be able to interlink various concepts together, and because of that entire syllabus will get reduced, right? So that is how you will approach geography, where you should be able to revise geography very fast once you finish with this topic, right? But what I want is, I want a support from you that whatever we discuss in this class, you study that topic at home when you go at home. Because see guys, it will take us around 4 to 4.5 months to finish this syllabus. That means by the end of January, we'll be done with geography. And that is the time when you start with your prelims preparation as well. Our main motive is what? That your geography optional, along with GS also, which you must be doing, your geography optional should finish by the end of January, so that when you give your mains examination, when you give your prelims examination, after that whatever time is remaining in that particular time period, you should only revise geography again and again. So by the time you give your mains examination, your geography optional should get revised at least 3 to 4 times. If you do that, nobody can stop you scoring highest marks in geography. You will score more than 300 for sure. So one obstacle that the other subjects are scoring more and the geography is scoring less and all those things, that will get removed if you diligently give your enough time to this particular subject. That is one thing. And if you have fair bit of idea, if you have a very good conceptual clarity of this subject, then that will help you in the other aspects of your GS1, GS3 and even your essays also. So what would happen is, first of all, you will get more marks in your optional, and at the same time you will score much higher marks than your friends and your contemporaries in your GS syllabus also, in your GS papers also, and that will give you an edge in your overall marks. I guarantee you this happens. This is not something which you keep hearing again and again, but this actually happens. A geography student always have upper hand in GS1 and GS3 compared to other students. But the problem with geography students in their own optional, that they feel as if this optional is very big and it is difficult to finish this optional and all those things. So you work diligently over here along with me. I'll make sure that throughout this 4.5 months, we'll work restlessly, and because we will work continuously over here, and you should work also along with me. We have defined one pattern over here. Whatever we do in this class in a given week, you will be having a test for it, on a test for that particular whatever topics which we have covered, you will be having a test on every Saturday, right? I'll personally check all those tests, and then we'll see what improvements can be made. Why I'm conducting that test is because I just want to know that how much concepts you are understanding, how much concepts you are getting. If you are weak in a particular concept, then we can have a one-on-one discussion, and then I can clear all of your doubts over there, right? So this is the pattern we'll follow throughout. Okay? Is it okay? Now, chalo, let's see first what geography syllabus consists of, and which books generally, if at all you want to refer certain books, because see, this is for sure that the notes which we are going to get in the class, that will be quite exhaustive, and I myself have referred so many books and I have taken out notes from them, so you don't need to go through those books again and again, and if you have to read all those books Savindra Singh and the Khullar and all, you don't need to read those books completely, right? But there are certain aspects, there are certain topics of those books which are extremely important. I'll recommend that you go through that particular book and you see those topics which are there in that book, even if that topic is covered in the class. That will give you much more clarity over there. There are certain topics which you have to go through, okay? But anyways, let's start with this. You have generally what kind of paper you will be having in your optional paper. Being a first attempter, I suppose that some of you don't have idea about a geography paper, because see, in GS paper there is a straightforward pattern where we have 20 questions, right? We have 20 questions over there and you have to attempt all those questions within 3 hours. But in your geography optional or in all optionals over here, the pattern is a bit different. Here, question 1 to question 8 are there, and each question has certain sub questions. Whereas question 1 to question 4, that forms section A of the subject of that particular paper. Question 5 to question 8, that forms section B, right? Section A and section B. So each paper which you are going to attempt, paper 1 and paper 2. In paper 1 you will be having section A, section B. Paper 2 you will be having section A and section B. Now in question 1, there will be 5 questions, and remaining question 2, 3 and 4 you will be having 3 questions. Okay? So question 1 will be having 5 questions and each question over here will be of 10 marks. Question 2, 3, 4 will be having 3 sub questions, and each of those questions, generally each of those questions are of like one question is of 20 marks, other 2 questions are of 15 marks. So 15, 30 plus 20, 50. So they maintain that in each question they ask you 50 marker overall topic. So here 20 marker first question and 15 marks given for other 2 questions. Although this pattern may change. This is not a fixed pattern of UPSC, but since last few years they are sticking to this particular pattern. So I expect that even this year also they will ask this particular. So question 3 to question 4 you will be having 20, 15 and 15. Then question 5. In question 5 again you will be having 5 questions worth 10 marks. So each question will be having 10 marks. And then question 6, 7, 8, again 3 sub questions will be there, and in that 20, 15 and 15. This pattern will be followed. Now do you have to attempt all questions? No, you don't have to attempt all questions. So here you have choice. In GS papers you don't have choice, but here you will be having choice. So what you have, like how you are supposed to attempt over here? So there is also one pattern which is fixed in this. In section A, question 1, and in section B, question 5 is compulsory. So you have to attempt all 5 questions from question 1 and you have to attempt all 5 questions from question 5 as well. So question 1 and question 5 is compulsory. Question 2, 3, 4 and 6, 7, 8. Among these 6 questions, you have to attempt any 3 questions. Any 3 questions. So either, but you cannot do this, that you will attempt 2, 3, 4 from the section A itself and you will leave section B altogether. You can attempt 2 questions from here, as in out of 2, 3, 4 you can attempt 3, 4 or 2, 4 or whatever. So 2 questions you can attempt over here and 1 question then you have to attempt from here compulsorily. Or you can attempt 2 questions from section B and 1 question from section A. Are you getting this? How you are going to attempt your paper? So this is how the pattern of your paper would be, and this is how you attempt your entire question paper. So question 1 and question 5 would be compulsory, and question 2, 3, 4 and 6, 7, 8, in that you have to attempt 3 questions, which is section A you have to attempt 2 questions and then section B 1 or vice versa. This is how you have to attempt, and this applies for your paper 2 as well. This is how it will go. Now why this section A and section B is being defined? ऐसा क्यों किया अलग से? Why there is section A and the section B? Because your syllabus itself has that particular pattern. Now what pattern your syllabus has? Now if you observe your geography optional syllabus over here, so paper 1 has 2 aspects. One is physical geography. The name which is given is principle of geography, physical geography. So this is, the first is physical geography and the second is human geography. So in paper 1, section A would contain only physical geography aspect, while section B would be having human geography aspect. So if you attempt 1 and 5 over here and 3 questions over here, then you are not attempting human geography questions, so it feels as if you are weak in the human geography part. This is the reason why UPSC has done this, that you have to attempt 2 questions from here and 1 question from here, so that they want to check whether you are up to the mark in both physical and human aspect of the geography. Okay, so your entire paper 1 has 2 aspects, physical geography and human aspect. Let's see. The first topic which is there in the physical geography is geomorphology. Right, geomorphology, that means here basically you have to study about various landforms formation. There are only 2 broader aspects of your geomorphology. One is plate tectonic, another is resultant formation of landforms. These are the 2 aspects you have to study. Now within this plate tectonic there are various other theories which first occurred, and after that the plate tectonic theory came. And because of the plate tectonic theory, various landforms are formed, and what would be the nature of those landforms, that is basically studied under landform topic. So in the landform you have various theories, Davis, Penck, and all those theories are given in this particular topic. So geomorphology is basically study of various landforms which are present over the earth's surface, right? So in that, for this, what we are going to study, which book we should refer for this? It's a very standard book, Savindra Singh. Physical Geography by Savindra Singh. This is a very important book, and whenever you have any doubt in any particular concept and you just want to clear it by yourself, just open this book and refer that particular concept over there. It is given in a very decent format over there, right? So Physical Geography by Savindra Singh, this is first book which we will refer for geomorphology. We will not go into too much of detail of this particular topic over here because there are too many topics. So as it is, we are going to cover those topics, so we will not deal with those all those subsections over here right now. Then second is your climatology, right? See guys, geomorphology is very exhaustive. It's very big. So, and it's very static as well. So if you are very strong in your geomorphology, in your climatology, in your oceanography, which are very static topics, then you have decent chances that you will write good answer, you will attempt better paper than others, right? So make sure that these topics should be very strong. Then second topic is your climatology. Climatology, as the name itself suggests, that it is study of the climate. So various climatic features, how climate forms, how climate affects other aspects of the nature. For example, climate also helps in the formation of the culture of the human, right? It also affects in the formation of culture. How climate affects culture? How would we say that climate affects culture? Can you say something for this? How climate affects culture of the human being? It's a very simple thing. Can you tell me? Those living in the cooler areas. We can't say that they are better. In their physical structure, they are bigger. Right? Why? Because good nutrition, cold climate provides good nutrition, better conditions. If you are living in a warm areas, then harsher climate, that is kind of harsh climate for the human being. So this is the reason why European type of climate is considered as the best place for the human to survive, right? But anyways, how it affects culture, I am saying. If you observe, it's very simple example. If you observe the person who is from, let's say any part, as in Rajasthan, the person is wearing white clothes everywhere. Why? Because he wants to save himself from the sunstroke, right? If you see the people who are there in temperate region and the people who are there in the tropical areas, there is a difference in the voice in which they talk. The people who are living in the tropical area, their voice is bigger. Their voices, they are louder. But if you observe people who are there in the temperate areas, they are relatively less louder than the people who are there in the tropical areas. Why? Because the density of the air in temperate area, that is more, because it's a cold region, right? So cold region having more moisture, so because of that, density of the air, that is heavy over there. But if you come in the warmer areas, density of the air gets rarefied, density of the air is less. So as we all know, sound travel fast in the region where the density of the air is more. This is the reason why people who are there in the temperate areas, they will, even if they talk softly, but still that sound can travel easily over there. But if you come in the tropical areas, in that case, then sound will travel with the lesser speed. This is the reason why you have to talk loud in order to convey whatever you want to say. So this is the reason why people over here are inherently louder compared to people which are there in the temperate areas. So basically this is what we are going to study over here, various type of climatic features, various types of climatic phenomena, how those climatic features and phenomena affects the various landforms, how they affect the oceanic system, how they affect the human system. So basically we are going to interlink it with the various aspects of your geography itself, because see, there is close interlinkage which is there between the geomorphology, climatology and oceanography. Whatever happens in the geomorphological part, as in landform, that affects climate. Whatever happens in the climate, that affects landforms, oceans. Ocean affects landforms also, it affects climate also. That means there is an interlinkage which is there between the various topics over here, right? So that is what we will study under this. Climatology, from where to study climatology? Again the same book, Physical Geography by Savinder Singh, right? The third is oceanography. For oceanography also you have the same author over here, Physical Geography by Savinder Singh. All topics of geomorphology, climatology and oceanography are very nicely explained in this particular book. But make sure that this book is not a textbook, okay? This is a reference book, so keep it as a reference book only. It should not be a textbook, you should not read it cover by cover, okay? Then what is there in the oceanography? What oceanography? That means study of oceanic features and oceanic phenomena. Oceanic features as in temperature, salinity, ocean tides and all, and various oceanic phenomena. That means what? Ocean currents which generate within the ocean system, why tropical cyclone forms only in the oceanic areas, then there is what is the impact of climate change on the oceanic system. So these are the what is marine resources, various types of marine resources, ocean bottom relief. So these are the things which we are going to study under your oceanography. Very simple. Climatology and oceanography is very simple. Geomorphology is a little bit difficult. This is the reason why today we are going to start with climatology. Bit simple topic, so that you should get, first of all, you should get friendly with geography. फिर देखेंगे बाद में. Then we'll move towards geomorphology. Then that topic is bit difficult. But otherwise, climatology and oceanography is easier one. So for all these three topics, Physical Geography by Savinder Singh. Now there are other books which are also available for this geomorphology, climatology and oceanography. Which are those three books? Separate books which are of the same author, Savinder Singh. There is a separate book for geomorphology, separate book for climatology and separate book for oceanography. But trust me, if you read all those books, if you just read all those books, then it will take you at least 1 year to finish your geography syllabus by yourself. So don't go into that much detail. If you are studying by yourself, then that is okay. Then you have to go through those books. Then geomorphology by Savinder Singh, oceanography and climatology by Savinder Singh. Read those books separately because very exhaustive information is given. So, but why to do that duplication of work? Because I have already read those books. So you don't need to read that. We'll discuss whatever there in the class, whatever important topics are there. We'll write it down. We'll have notes of them. You just stick to our notes. Notes yaad kar lena bas acche se. That's it. You just don't need to go through all those books comprehensively. Then next is your biogeography. Biogeography basically contains the soil classification, genesis of soil. Then soil classification are given by various geographers such as Marbert's classification, then USDA classification. There are various classifications of soils which are given. What are the factors which are responsible for the formation of soil? What are the factors which are responsible for the dispersal of animals and the plants in the various parts of the world? So these are the topics which are discussed in your biogeography. Now from where to read biogeography? Personally, I feel as if even whatever notes which I have made for biogeography, I have read it from the internet. I feel internet is the best source for biogeography, because somewhere biogeography can also be connected with current affairs. Environment can also be connected with current affairs. So I would suggest that after biogeography you have environment also. Biogeography and environment, these are the dynamic aspects of geography. These are the dynamic aspects. So better we study it from the internet. So first of all, we'll deal with all the topics which are there in the environment and the biogeography in the class. But these are the topics which you have to keep track of. You have to keep track of these topics even after we finish our class, because current affairs is something which will never stop. It will keep evolving. So whatever new topics come, so from newspaper and all, so you have to add those topics into your notebook. That is what you have to do, right? Then but otherwise, if you are very firm on this aspect that I have to read book, then for environmental geography, again you have Savinder Singh. Then for biogeography, you have book of K. Siddhartha. or ensemble book is also there, but that the book for biogeography is this much for by ensemble. You don't need to read this one, right, because already there are so many books to read, so you don't need to go through this particular book. Then again, human geography, perspective in human geography. Guys, this is the most important topic in your entire geography syllabus. Perspective in human geography. It seems as if this topic is very small. Perspective in human geography is a very small topic, but it is quite difficult to prepare. It's difficult to prepare literally because there are so many thinkers who are given. But it's interesting also somewhere because there are various geographers which has happened previously. There were Greek geographers and the Roman geographers and the Arab geographers, and they have talked anything. There is some, as in earlier geographers used to believe that Earth is in the center before Galileo and Copernicus. So people used to believe, geographers used to believe that Earth is in the center of the universe and then everything is revolving around the Earth. So that is what we have to study, imagine. Then there was one geographer, in order to explain that why people who are there, who are from Mongolia and people who are from sandy areas, sandy desert area, why their eyes are small. So one geographer said that because they have to bend their back because there is a lot of dust over there, so they have to bend their back in order to see at distant places. So if they have smaller eyes, then the dust would not go into their eyes, and there are a lot of flies which are there in their eyes. This is the reason why they have small eyes. Now this is illogical thing which he said, but still we have to study this. We have to study this particular thing somewhere, right? That means there are certain interesting, but even though it is illogical, it is interesting. But there are certain very important concepts which are given by very renowned geographers, Verenius, then Vidal de Lablache, then Hettner. There are various other geographers which are there, very important geographer. We have to study that. Why I am saying this? Why I am saying that this topic is the most important topic of your entire geography syllabus is because if you interlink, if you get that knack of interlinking this particular topic with the other subjects, with the other sections of your geography, geomorphology, oceanography, climatology, even in your physical, as in entire Indian geography, you will get more marks, 100%, because students who get more than 300 marks, they use this topic extensively in their other answer writing practices. There are two important things which you have to do in your answer writing: diagrams, and the second one is interlinking this perspective in human geography with the other topics of geomorphology, oceanography, climatology, and various other topics of Indian geography as well. So if you manage to interlink this topic, you will get more marks, because there are very few students who can interlink these topics with the various sections. Very few students. This is the reason why people generally end up writing very common and very cliche answer in geography, and they don't get enough marks. Why? Because they don't interlink various topics with each other. Right? Now, from where to read perspective in human geography then? I have made very exhaustive note. We'll discuss that in the class. That will be sufficient. But if we have to go through certain concepts, then as in from where I have made those notes, one is R.D. Dixit. That book is good. Sudipta Adhikari, and third one is Majid Hussain sir. These three books are very good, as in, although Majid Hussain sir's book is a bit difficult to understand, the language which he has used, that language is difficult to grab, right? It's difficult language which he has used over there, and also the things are not given exactly in the chronological fashion over there. So it becomes difficult to understand that, okay, this particular topic has ended over here, so the next topic should be linked to this particular topic, but the next topic is something else also, something else only. So this is the reason why this particular book is difficult to understand, but otherwise, the book which is written by Sudipta Adhikari, I find this book very good. This book is nice. But R.D. Dixit is also very nice. So R.D. Dixit and Sudipta Adhikari, these are the best book for studying perspective in human geography. And again, for example, this year they asked question on time geography. But see, time geography, although it is given in Sudipta Adhikari, not in exhaustive way, but if you want to study that particular, because that is not given anywhere else, that is not being taught by any class also. But from where to do that then? कहाँ से पढ़ेंगे उसको? Internet is the best source for this. Now somebody would feel कि ये हमें कैसे पता चलेगा? How would we come to know that we have to find out this particular topic from the internet? Although these topics will cover in the class, but see, if some things which are out of the box which has been asked by UPSC, in that case what you can do is collect last 8 years question paper and see what kind of questions they are asking and from which topic they are asking those questions more frequently. You would observe that the recent paradigms which has happened in geography, such as quantitative revolution and behavioralism and all those things, UPSC is asking question more from that. So if UPSC is asking question more from that, search those topics on internet and find out certain new topics which you can find. As in, see, behavioral geography itself has various branches. Time geography is one of the branch of behavioral geography. So UPSC has asked question from that. So you have to go through internet and you have to see that then what are the new topics which which can come out from the net, so that you will not face any trouble while attempting any your paper in UPSC. Right? Then perspective in geography. After that you have economic geography. Economic geography, there is one book, K. Siddhartha, but economic geography, the topics which are given in economic geography, I will tell you some of the topics: world economic development, measures and problems, world resources and their distribution, energy crisis, then world agricultural, typology of agricultural region. Don't you think these topics are very dynamic in nature and they keep evolving all the time? Energy crisis is something which is very dynamic in nature. There are various mineral resources which keeps coming, and these mineral resources over the period of time becomes important. See, 10 years before, nobody knew shell gas is also there. Shell gas can also be used for generation of energy. But now shell gas has become significant source of energy for US, right, and for other countries as well. That means what? This energy crisis and various other topics which are given in economic geography, they keep evolving. That is very dynamic in nature. So again, internet is the best source for this. Although K. Siddhartha's book for economic geography is good, right? K. Siddhartha. Then population and settlement geography. Now this topic is something which you cannot find in a particular, you will not be able to find all topics in this particular section in a single book. You will not get that. So in that case, what to do? There are certain topics related to population aspects, demographic attributes of the population, sex ratio, child sex ratio, maternal mortality rate, infant mortality rate, and distribution of these demographic attributes in the entire world. From where to study this? R.C. Chandana. R.C. Chandana is the best book for this. Very nicely written. But that book is big. Again, that is the only issue actually. The big books are, if the book is good, then that has to be big, so that more and more information can be accommodated in that. So that book is very good, but otherwise book is very big. So in that case, keep it as a reference book. But whatever is there in the R.C. Chandana, I have already read, and we'll cover those things in the class itself. You don't need to read R.C. Chandana, although sometime you may find some trouble in certain topics, then go through that particular book. And obviously you can come to me also, we can solve those issues over here. Then and there are certain topics, this is urban morphology, rural urban fringe, satellite towns, problems and remedies of urbanization. These topics are given in Majid Hussain sir's book, Models in Human Geography. Models and theories in human geography. This is given in Majid Hussain sir's book. That's a very small book. It's very good also. You can go through that if you want to get clear some of the concept. Then regional planning. For regional planning we don't have any particular book, although R.C. Chandana has a book for regional planning, but that book is generally not available in the market. So from where to study regional planning, we'll deal with that. We'll see that from where, like how to do with this, and that too, regional planning has some dynamic aspect as well. So we'll deal with that. Regional planning, don't worry about this. Then models, theories and laws in human geography. Again, models and theories in human geography, that particular topic contains all these topics over here, right? So these books are quite exhaustive, as you must have seen, right? So if you have certain troubles, and then you can go through them, but otherwise don't read cover by cover. And part 2, Geography of India. This is your paper 2. Again, all the questions which I have told you, question 1 to question 8, and whatever structure which I have told you for paper 1, the same structure gets applied on paper 2 as well. So here also physical setting, but the thing is, see, there is a difference between paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 1 is very hardcore geography, in which you should have knowledge of geography, then only you will be able to attempt that. But if you give paper 2 to someone who is not from geography background, even he will be able to attempt most of the paper, 70 to 80%. Then how does that make you different from the normal student? So here you use, and I'll tell you that particular trick. You have to use a lot of diagrams in your answers. Then again you have to use a lot of factual information. Then you have to add certain theories which are given in paper 1. For example, if for agriculture, if the question is from agriculture, well, so the third topic in your syllabus is agriculture in paper 2. First is physical setting, second is resources, and third is agriculture. Let's suppose sometime they ask you question from agriculture. Then in paper 1, we have already studied one model whose name is von Thunen. We will be studying this, von Thunen's model of agriculture. So that von Thunen model for agriculture we have studied now. So you just have to write that particular name while writing answers regarding agriculture in your paper 2. If you follow this, for example, industry is also one topic which is given in our syllabus. So if sometime question comes on industry, and if it is relevant, you can add the theory which was given by Weber also, which is given in our paper 1. So here you become different from the GS student, because GS student will not be able to add those particular theories and the conceptual part, as in the facts and the statistics. He will not be able to add that. He will write answer in a very generalistic way. What happens with the geography optional student in the examination hall is, they attempt paper 2 in a very generalistic fashion. They don't draw diagrams, and generally in order to finish paper very fast, they don't even add various thinkers also in their answers in paper 2. This is the biggest reason why geography, students in paper 2 score very less marks, and their overall marks comes down. But if you exactly know that what you have to add and what you have to skip, so in that case paper 2 is the best place where you can score very high marks. And I am telling you, it's not that I am just saying it for the sake of saying, but no, paper 2 is the place where you can get high marks. Why? See guys, if it is seemingly easy but it is difficult to get marks in that, then most of the students will commit mistake in that. But if you know that how to tackle that particular topic, then there are more chances that you will get marks. For example, paper 2 looks very easy because questions are very common in that, very generalistic questions are being asked. So it seemingly it feels as if yaar isme marks karna to bahut easy hai. It's very easy to score marks in this paper, and then you end up writing very common answers. 99% students of geography optional, they will write a very common answer in that. Your work is done. They are out of the competition now. If you know what to add, just now I have told you the thinkers and all those things, if you add those things, then you will score more marks compared to other students. So you will be, it is very easy task for you to get visible among the bad copies. But what happens in paper 1 is, most of the students are writing very good answers. So it becomes difficult for you to be visible in all those good answers, because your answer is also good, their answer is also good. So even after writing good answer, it is not necessary that you will score high marks. But in paper 2, even if you write normal answer which is required, there are more chances that you will score more marks over there, right? So paper 2 is the place where you can score very high mark. Anyways, whatever topic which you will see in paper 1, physical setting, so here space relationship of India with the neighboring countries, is it there in GS also, right? Structure and relief, drainage system and watershed, physiographic regions of India, Himalayas, northern plain, rivers and all those things, coastal plain, islands and all. Then Indian monsoon, rainfall pattern, tropical cyclone. Don't you think all things are given in your GS also, right? Resources, land, surface, groundwater, energy, minerals, again all things are covered in your GS also. Agriculture, infrastructure, irrigation, seeds, fertilizer, power, institutional factors, then cropping pattern, agriculture productivity, agriculture intensity, everything is there in your GS, everything. All things are covered in your GS also, right? What I am saying is, if you keep covering this topic, when we will deal with this topic over here, your entire GS1 and GS3 will be done. You don't need to, as in whatever geographical part is there in that particular paper, that will be done. Then again industry is there, transport, trade and communication topic is there. From where to study this? There is one book, D.R. Khuller. That D.R. Khuller book, a very good book for more, and that too new one. New one has a lot of information. So if you go through that book sometimes, then you will have a lot of knowledge about various topics and various areas of India and all. So knowledge horizon, if you want to widen your knowledge horizon, you can refer some of the chapters of that particular book. Very nice book. Although I would suggest most of the topics which are there, for example, resources, agriculture, industry, then cultural setting. For cultural setting, R.C. Chandana is the best book. But most of the topic which are there in paper 2, they can be covered through internet, and that too very nicely, right? So this is how we are going to cover. And then lastly, we have political issues, political aspects and contemporary issues. That is current affairs basically. So that we'll also cover that from newspapers and the internet. That topic is need to be covered. So this is how we are going to, these are the sources through which I have made my notes, and this is how we are going to cover our entire syllabus. This is the entire syllabus over here. Today we'll start with the topic of climatology, right? Now without wasting any time, let's start with geography straight away. When we say geography, what does that mean? What is the meaning of geography, guys? Description of the earth. Who gave this term? Eratosthenes. He was a Greek geographer. Eratosthenes has given this term called as geography, where geo stands for earth and graphos stands for description. So description of the earth is the meaning of geography. Now, first of all, before discussing this climatology, we have to see that how geography has evolved, how geography as a subject got evolved. Geography as a discipline basically deals with the physical aspect of the nature. Along with that, it also deals with the human aspect. Earlier, when the geography was evolving, the problem with geography was it was neither a pure science nor the social science subject. What is pure science and social science subject? If you see physics, chemistry, bio, they completely deal with the physical aspects, right? While if you see art backgrounds, like whatever humanities subjects are there, all those humanities subjects which are part of social science, they deal with what? They deal with the human nature, society, culture, evolution of the culture, and all those things they deal with. So earlier in the universities, the very important place was given to all pure science subjects, as in physics, chemistry and bio, and social science subject as well, which was all those humanities subjects which were there. But geography couldn't find its place among all those subjects. Initially, geography used to consider as an inferior subject. This was the reason why in the university also, different, as in altogether separate department for geography was not there for since so many years. Why? What was the main criticism related to geography? That this particular subject, when somebody used to ask any geographer that what geography is all about, so he used to say that it studies physical aspect, along with that it also studies human aspect. But then people, you started asking question that you are neither a pure subject, nor pure science subject, nor you are a social science subject, because if you are a pure science subject, then you should deal only with the physical aspect of the world. But that physical aspect is already taken care of the other subjects such as physics, chemistry, bio. And if you are dealing with the, if you consider yourself as a part of social science, then you should study only the anthropological studies related to human society and all those things. But those are also covered somewhere in the sociology, then anthropology. Those things are already covered. Then why should geography be given the equal status with respect to these all pure science subjects and the social science subject? So this was the reason why geography since so long was facing identity crisis in its overall evolution. Later, various geographers came in and they started explaining what geography is all about, why geography is important. Finally, there was a conclusion which came out that basically geography is something in which, see, if you observe pure science subject, then they only study physical aspect, while the social science subject only study human aspect. But geography studies physical subject, physical aspect, then it also studies human aspect, and they basically integrate those aspects together. So this is the unique selling point of the geography, where it integrate human geography with the physical aspect. So how it integrates? Integrate kaise karta hai? Don't you think when we are living on this earth, we get affected by whatever is happening over the earth's surface, by the environment of this surface, by the oceanic by the water which is present over here, by the landform which is present over here. We get affected by everything which is present over here, isn't it? So human as a species, or the living beings over the earth's surface, they get affected because of the atmospheric, as in the whatever features which are present over the earth's surface. At the same time, we also affect the environment, right? We also affect environment some way. This is the reason why there are various problems which are coming out now, climate change and the global warming. Why? Because we are intervening too much into the work of the nature. This is the reason why these problems are coming out. That means there are two-way interactions which are going on. What are those two-way interaction? There is interaction of nature with human, and there is interaction of human with nature as well. So basically geography studies this integration of human aspect with natural aspect. This is the basic premises on which geography found its own existence among all subjects, and then geography was given equal importance with respect to all pure science subjects and the social science subjects. So various geographers came together and they have defined geography in this particular way. Finally, a Greek geographer, Eratosthenes, has defined in 3rd century BC, he has defined geography's name. He has defined the name of this particular discipline as geography, which means description of the earth. If you want to study the evolution of, although these things we'll study during perspective in human geography as well, if you want to see that how geography has evolved, so evolution of geography can be seen all the way up to Greek geographers, from the Greek geographers onwards. So Greek people were the first one who started studying about the geographical phenomena. Why only Greek? ऐसा क्या था Greek में? First of all, Greek was surrounded by various oceanic regions. It was surrounded by various other landforms as well, and it was inquisitive attitude among the people over there that why this particular landform has formed, why these oceanic waves are moving only in this particular direction. Because of that nature of the people over there, they started intervening. They started studying about the various features which are present in geography, and this is how geography started evolving. So evolution of geography can be studied from the Greek thinkers. That has started from Greek thinkers. So in order to name few thinkers over here, Herodotus, then again there was one, Glacan was one of the geographer who was there. He also defined geography in such a way that he said there are three-way interaction which are going on. What kind of interaction? Human is in harmony. He said that earth has evolved in this way only. When the human has evolved, so human was living in harmony with the nature. Then subsequently, nature started dominating humans. And finally, this is the phase in which human is dominating nature, and it is making some changes in the nature. So this is how the earth has evolved over the period of time. So this is how basically Greek geographers have discussed various features of geography. Then came Roman thinkers. After Greek, Roman thinkers have taken the tradition of forwarding geography's onward march. So Roman thinkers, so there were two important Roman thinkers, Strabo and Ptolemy. Strabo and Ptolemy, they discussed a lot of things about geography. Basically, they are credited for introducing mathematical equations into geography, bringing mathematical aspect of geography. You would see that sometimes we use certain equations, as in we would see that there were various climatologists who were there, Koeppen, Thornthwaite and Trevarta. They have given various equations with the help of which they have explained the classification of climate in the world. Basically, that is the quantitative revolution which has happened in geography. But the seeds of quantitative revolutions were sown in the Roman Empire, where they have actually, the Ptolemy and the Strabo, they brought mathematics into geography as well, and they made geography more concrete subject. So that was they also discussed about the latitudes and the longitudes which are present. They have described how latitudes and longitudes can be defined, how locations can be found with the help of latitudes and longitudes, right? So that was the phase in which geography has evolved. Later, Europe went under turmoil. There were certain disputes which were going on among the European countries itself, and this was the reason why there was a phase in which geography started losing its shine. And then finally it was Arab traders, Arab thinkers who started thinking about geography, and they have taken, although they have taken most of their concepts from the Roman thinkers, from the Greek thinkers, but ultimately they helped in the evolution of geography. So kahan se dekha humne? First of all Greek, then the Roman geographers came, and then finally your this Arab geographers also came, Arab thinkers. In order to give few examples of Arab thinkers, there was Al-Masudi. When we study monsoonal features, monsoon जब पढ़ते हैं ना हम लोग, तो from where have we defined this word as monsoon? ये monsoon आया कहाँ से? Basically this word came from Mausin, which is the name which was given by the Arab thinkers, Al-Masudi. Al-Masudi said that once, because see, these Arab thinkers were very much interested in trade and trade activities. At the same time, they were also interested in various pilgrimage places, visiting various pilgrimage places in the world. Because of that, because with the evolution, with the birth of Prophet Muhammad, after that all Islamic group came together and they have formed a very coherent religious group, and after that they wanted to disperse their overall religious thinking in all parts of the world peacefully. This was the reason why this geographical thinking also started expanding along with the expansion of the Islamic culture. Then Al-Masudi, first of all, he talked about the seasonal reversal of wind which happens in India. Once when he was traveling from the Indian Ocean, he has observed this thing that in India, in the Indian Ocean to be precise, in Indian Ocean, monsoonal wind keeps changing their direction, and because of that there is seasonal reversal of wind which happens in India, and the monsoonal rainfall which happens in the Indian subcontinent, that is concentrated only for 3 to 4 months in the year. If you go in other countries, this unique feature is not present in various other parts of the country. So if you go in, let's say, Southeast Asian countries, over there rainfall happens every day. Every day at around 4 p.m. there will be rainfall. This is the reason why there is a 4 p.m. we call that region as a 4 p.m. rainfall region, right? Equatorial rainforest is there, equatorial rainfall happens over there. If you go in temperate areas, even in temperate areas, because of the cyclonic conditions, it is not necessary that rainfall will happen only on a particular period of time. It can happen any time over there as well. India is the only country, for that matter, Indian subcontinent. India is not the only country. Indian subcontinent is the only region in which monsoonal rainfall pattern can be seen, in which there is a fixed time period in which rainfall would happen, right? So this was first observed by Al-Masudi. Al-Maqdisi, he has also divided entire earth into 14 climatic zones. So basically they have done a lot of work for entire evolution of geography as a subject, right? So Arab geographers has also helped in the evolution of geography, and this is how over the period of time geography started evolving. Then, yeah, tell me. If
geography is studying the aspect of art description, then what about geology, like geology study which aspect of art?
Geology. Geology studies rocks. Geo stands for rocks. So yeah, so basically geology studies various types of rock features which are present over the Earth's surface. It's typically engaged in the rocks study of various rocks. Okay. Yes, they have also played significant role. Humboldt and Ritter, they have played significant role, but the evolution of geography has started from Greek thinkers, Greek and then the Roman, and then after that Arab traders. After that Darwin's phase came, and then after that, see, now we are not dealing with that particular section right now. This is the reason why I am not going to do too much detail. Then after that Darwin's phase came, and after Darwin then Humboldt and Ritter came. We will deal with that perspective in human geography. We will deal with that particular section completely. But the point over here is how geography has evolved. So basic evolution of geography happened from the Greek, Roman and Arab thinkers, right? Now today geography is divided into various disciplines. Climatology is also one of the subsection of the geography. So we'll study with the, about the climatology now. Now, how climate over the Earth's surface has evolved. The first topic which we are going to study would be very simple one: composition and structure of atmosphere. this is the first topic today which we'll be studying. Right? How do you think atmosphere has evolved, guys? कभी पढ़ा है? अभी इन दिनों NCERT में पढ़ा है? How atmosphere was evolved? See, our atmosphere and the hydrosphere which is there over the Earth's surface has evolved because of the three reasons. There were three reasons because of which our overall atmosphere and the hydrosphere has evolved over the Earth's surface. First is removal of primordial atmosphere. Removal of primordial atmosphere due to solar winds. The second was degassing, volcanic eruption and resultant degassing. Volcanic eruption and resultant degassing due to meteoric impact. And the third one was process of photosynthesis. These were the three reasons because of which our atmosphere over the Earth's surface has evolved. Now let's see how it has evolved over the period of time. First is removal of primordial atmosphere. What do you understand? Primordial atmosphere, does that mean that this atmosphere was not there earlier? Yes, this atmosphere was not there earlier. Earlier our atmosphere was, there were various harmful gases and toxic gases which were present over the Earth's surface, and our atmosphere was completely made up of those toxic gases, and this was the reason why earlier human beings and other living species also could not evolve over the Earth's surface at that particular point of time. Why? Because that particular atmosphere was not suitable for the development of various species over the Earth's surface. Then if we want species to evolve over the Earth's surface, then we have to remove those gases, right? We have to remove those gases first from the atmosphere. So who would remove those gases? Earlier, see, as if you observe entire solar system, so you would observe that Earth is very small compared to, let's say, Jupiter and other planets such as Saturn and all. So because, and you must be knowing this fact, gravity ka formula kya hota hai? There is density which is involved in the gravity. If the body has more density, so it would be having higher or lower gravitational force? It would be having higher gravitational force. If the body has larger density, then it has more gravitational pull. If the body has smaller density, then it has lower gravitational pull. Just because the size of the Earth was not adequate enough for holding all the gases which are present over the Earth's surface, and initially solar winds were very strong. Because of this, whatever solar winds which used to come towards the Earth's surface, all the solar winds have striped off all the gases which were present over the Earth's surface, because even this Earth's gravitational force could not hold those gases together. So whatever earlier atmosphere was there, that earlier atmosphere was removed because of the solar winds which were coming from the sun, and there was no as such protective layer which was there. Today if you observe, whatever solar winds which come from the sun, only one radiation out of billions of radiation is being absorbed by the Earth, and that is what we call as insolation over the Earth's surface. Why? Because that radiation gets filtered within the Earth. At the same time, earlier Earth's magnetic field was not evolved properly. Today, just because of the magnetic property of the Earth, there is continuous magnetosphere which is present around the Earth's surface. So whatever solar wind which comes towards the Earth, they get diverted, and the overall impact of solar wind is not that huge. This is the reason why we are getting protected from the sun's very harmful rays which are coming towards us. But earlier when the Earth was evolving, when the initially Earth was in the gaseous state, then it got evolved into this liquid state, then it got, because when it was in the gaseous state, it was cooling down. After cooling down, it got condensed and it got converted into liquid state. Finally, after condensing enough, it got converted into solid state. So earth is cooling down continuously over the period of time. Even today also earth is cooling down. There is a remnant heat which is present within the earth's surface, and this is the reason why if you observe that core of the earth is very warm and it is outer core is made up of liquid. Why? Because there is still some energy which is left within the earth's surface. So earth is still cooling down, but earlier earth was very hot and everything was made up of gases, and finally it got later it got converted into liquid, and liquid got converted into solid. So the magnetism property of the earth, the magnetic property of the earth was not properly evolved, and because of this, whatever solar flares which used to come toward the earth's surface, they could not be stopped by this magnetosphere, and that used to come toward the earth, and because of that, whatever harmful gases which were present over the earth's surface, that got striped off from the earth's surface. So the place was made for the evolution of the new atmosphere. First of all, the earlier atmosphere will go, then only new atmosphere will form, right? So the place was made for the formation of the new atmosphere over the earth's surface. Now, when the earth was forming, at that point of time, there were a lot of meteoric impact which happened over the earth's surface. A lot of meteoric impact. What do you understand meteoric impact? Some extraterrestrial body is hitting the surface of the earth. It's called as meteoric impact, right? So when the meteoric impact used to happen, they used to fall over the earth's surface with a tremendous force. Let's suppose this is the earth's surface. Earlier this was the earth, and some meteor is coming with the tremendous force. So it will create a crater over here. So whenever it will fall, it will create cracks within the earth's surface. Obviously, such a huge body falls, then it will create cracks within the earth's surface, right? And that too, those cracks would be very instantaneous in nature. Now, because of the instantaneous creation of the crack, those crack has resulted into conversion of rocks into magma instantaneously. How? See, it works like this. Have you seen gas cylinder at your home? LPG cylinder? Sabko pata hai na LPG cylinder? Now that LPG cylinder contains which gas, or does it contain gas? Then it contains propane and butane in the form of liquid. It contains in the form of liquid, right? But whenever you open the knob, do you think every liquid comes out and you burn that? Gas comes out, right? Why gas comes out? Because when you open the knob, you release the pressure, and there is instantaneous conversion of that liquid into gases. Because of release of pressure, the liquid gets converted into gases. This is the basic property of LPG cylinder. The same property is being applied when you are talking about the earth's surface. This property is called as release of superincumbent force. So what is release of superincumbent force? Let's suppose this is the top part of the earth's surface. As you go below, pressure increases or decreases, guys? Pressure increases, because the force which is being applied over the earth's surface, that force will keep on increasing. So there is a pressure which is being applied over the lower surface. Upper surface will be having less pressure. As you go below, the pressure would increase. Don't you think among all these layers, this layer will be having highest pressure? It will be having highest pressure, right? So this body is under tremendous pressure. This is the reason why its melting point is also very high. Because if you apply more pressure, then melting point increases, right? This is the property of physics. If you apply more pressure on any substance, then its melting point would increase. In order to explain this, melting point increase hona matlab kya? That particular body will take more time to get melt. Melt hona matlab kya? It will convert from solid to liquid, right? Simple. Let's see, you understand this concept like this. Let's suppose there is a solid material. You have to melt this solid material. That means what? You have to separate molecules of this solid material, because when it will get converted into liquid state, its molecules will go far away from each other. That is what property says. When the body is in a solid state, all molecules are close. When it gets converted into liquid state, molecules go farther away. When they get converted into gaseous state, molecules are farthest. Isn't it? So here, conversion of this solid particle into liquid. So in that case, molecules will go far away. But when we say, I am applying a pressure, so I am trying to bring molecules closer, or they are going away? They are coming closer. So I am doing opposite of this. So if I apply compressive force, that means I am not allowing body to get converted into liquid state, right? That means I am increasing its melting point or decreasing its melting point? I am increasing its melting point, right? I am increasing that body's melting point. That means now body will take more temperature to get melt. This is called as increase in melting point. So here, What happens is, as I go below, the pressure is increased. Pressure is increasing. Now this is the reason why all molecules will be compact over here. And because of this, melting point of this particular body, this particular layer of the rock over here would be high. Melting point would be high. So it will take more time to melt. It will take more time to get melt. But what happens is, let's suppose some meteor falls over here with a tremendous force. If the meteor falls over here, that will create crack within the surface. Now that has created a crack. Let's suppose this is the crack which is being created by the meteor. When this crack is being created, don't you think the pressure will be released over here instantaneously? Because crack is created. Now the rocks which are present over here, these rocks, do you think these rocks are under any pressure now? Because whatever rocks which were present above them, those rocks are gone. Because crack is opened now. So whatever rocks which are present within that particular crack, for them there is no pressure now. Because whatever pressure which was there above, that has been released because of the formation of the crack. This is the reason why when the instantaneous release of pressure happens, solid particle gets converted into liquid instantaneously. This is one of the very important reasons because of which magma forms. So solid particle over here, solid rocks over here, they convert into liquid, and then that liquid comes over the earth's surface in the form of lava. Did you understand this? How this magma forms and how magma comes out over the earth's surface in the form of lava? Now see, this lava came up over the earth's surface. So meteoric impact. I am again coming to this particular point. Volcanic eruption happened because of what? Because of meteoric impact. So when the meteor fell over the earth's surface, that has created certain cracks within the earth's surface, and because of that, there was instantaneous conversion of rocks into magma. That particular magma from here, that started erupting over the surface of the earth in the form of volcanic eruption. When the volcanic eruption has happened, along with the volcanic eruption, various other gases also started coming out continuously. So which were the dominant gases among them? Carbon dioxide, then again, yes, sulfur, but water vapor was also very dominant gas which came out. Water vapor and carbon dioxide, these were the dominant gases which came out over the surface of the earth. Now the atmosphere got flooded with water vapor and carbon dioxide, right? Now because of water vapor and earth was cooling down, earth to cool ho raha hai na, earth is still cooling down. Because earth was cooling down, water vapor which was present in the atmosphere, that started condensing. There was a condensation which happened in the atmosphere. Because of the condensation, rainfall started happening. That rainfall lasted for around millions of years. आजकल rainfall होती तो कैसा होता है, आज होगा कल नहीं होगा, और rainfall happens only for 2 to 3 months. But the rainfall which happened in that particular time period, that rainfall kept happening for millions of years. And when that rainfall was happening, some of the CO2 in the atmosphere, that also started dissolving within that particular rainfall. When the rainfall was happening and the CO2 will dissolve into that, what is the function of CO2 in the atmosphere? CO2 is a greenhouse gas. It's a greenhouse gas. So it increases the temperature, right, of the atmosphere. So if the CO2 itself will dissolve within the water and it will come out, it will come down. So in that case, don't you think atmosphere will become cold? Atmosphere will become cold, right? Because of the coldness of the atmosphere, more and more water vapor again got condensed into water droplets, and again more rainfall happened. So this became a cyclic process where rainfall led to dissolution of carbon dioxide, and finally because of that coldness occurred in the atmosphere, and that coldness led to again formation of rainfall. So this was a cyclic process which happened over the earth's surface, and because of this, huge amount of rainfall happened over the earth's surface for millions of years. Because of this, all water which fell over the earth's surface, that water started getting collected at various depressions which were present over the earth's surface, and that has resulted into formation of various water bodies, oceans. Oceans forms in this particular way. Now somebody would see that rainfall is happening and that rainfall is a fresh water. Why ocean is a, why do you think ocean is a saline water then? किसी को आया ये doubt? No? Doubt नहीं आया. Why the rainfall is rainfall is fresh water, right? Then why ocean is saline then, if the ocean itself is made up of fresh water? When this water comes over the surface through rivers, that water is drained from the surface. So when that river is draining over the surface of the earth, so it takes a lot of salts also along with it, which are there over the earth's surface, and those salts are deposited within the ocean through the rivers. But river themselves are fresh water source. What happens is, I always give this example in order to explain this particular concept. See guys, you all have 1 rupee with you. Let's suppose there are around 1 crore people who are sitting over here and all of them have 1 rupee. So do you think all people are rich? But what happens is, you come and you give your 1 rupee to me. Everyone, all 1 crore people who are sitting over here, they should give 1 rupee to me. After collecting that 1 rupee from everyone, don't you think I'll become rich? Because now I'll be having 1 crore rupees. Isn't it? Now see, river is you and ocean is me. I am collecting that water from, like being an ocean, I am collecting that water from all of you. That means you have some of the salt, you have some of the salt. See, individually you don't have enough salt to be called as a saline water. Your water is fresh, but what you are doing is, you are depositing small amount of salt into oceanic system. Various other rivers are coming and they are depositing small amount of salt into oceanic system. Now that salt is being utilized by the marine organisms which are present, oceanic organisms, and they convert it into sodium chloride, and this is the reason why this ocean is saline in nature. Did you understand this, how ocean is saline? Anyways, so this is how hydrosphere formed over the earth surface. Ab hydrosphere to ban gaya. Then what next? Then atmosphere need to be formed, right? Kyunki abhi tak atmosphere bana nahi hai. How atmosphere will form? See, there was a process of photosynthesis started in the oceanic system. Why only in oceanic system? Because initially there were certain, it is said that although it is a theory, it is not a concrete fact as such. It is said that there were certain organic atoms which were present in the ocean, and those organic atoms ultimately resulted into formation of more complex organic atoms. They interacted with each other and they resulted into formation of more complex organic atoms. Those complex organic atoms ultimately resulted into formation of first cell over the earth's surface. So first cell formed over there, and from there onwards one species got evolved. That species was capable of doing photosynthesis, and when it was capable of doing photosynthesis, it started releasing oxygen. It started utilizing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and the oceanic system, and it started releasing huge amount of oxygen into the ocean, as in huge amount of species formed, and they started releasing oxygen into the oceanic system. So entire ocean got flooded with oxygen. So this is how animals first evolved in the ocean, because oxygen was first formed in the ocean, and because of that animals were evolved over there. Now when the ocean got flooded with oxygen completely, then flood agar pura ki pura, let's suppose there is a vessel, vessel having capacity of 1 liter. If you put entire 1 liter of water, then it is filled up, or daloge to kya hoga? Overflow. So here also entire ocean got flooded with oxygen. When further oxygen was formed, then it started releasing that oxygen into the atmosphere, and this is how even the atmosphere started getting flooded with the oxygen. Now, earlier also rainfall was happening, but oxygen which was released earlier, that was not in the free form. Now oxygen which was released by various organisms which were present in the ocean, they started releasing it in the free form, and this is the reason why living organisms could use that oxygen for their survival. Now animals which were present in the ocean, they started moving towards land. This is how amphibians evolved. Then amphibians, and after that the land animals and the land plants also started evolving. So hydrosphere formed and the animals and they have evolved, but at the same time even our entire atmosphere also formed because of this. So this is how atmosphere and the hydrosphere formed over the earth's surface, and then they lived happily ever after. Any doubt in this? Any problem in this? No? समझ में आया ना सबको? Inside the ocean, that is still a query. Somebody explained that organic atom was there that converted into complex atom and all, but why it formed and how it formed, उस पे तो बहुत debate चल रहा है. So nobody knows exactly. ठीक? Write it down. Evolution of the atmosphere and hydrosphere. evolution of the atmosphere and hydrosphere. In that, write down, there are three stages for the formation of present atmosphere. There are three stages for the formation of present atmosphere. First is loss of primordial atmosphere. Loss of primordial atmosphere. Second is hot interior of the earth. Hot interior of the earth which contributed in the evolution of atmosphere through degassing and volcanic eruption. And third is process of photosynthesis. Next point. The early atmosphere with hydrogen and helium, is supposed to have been stripped off. The early atmosphere with hydrogen and helium is supposed to have been stripped off as a result of solar winds. Next, the water vapor released through degassing and volcanic eruption. Started getting condensed the water vapor released through degassing and volcanic eruption started getting condensed as earth cooled. Stop. CO2 from the atmosphere got dissolved in rainwater. And thus temperature further decreased. Causing more condensation and more rain. Stop. The rainwater falling onto the surface. Got collected in the depression. To give rise to oceans. Initially, the process of photosynthesis started in oceans. Because of earliest evolution of photosynthetic species, earliest evolution of photosynthetic species within the ocean. Thus, the oxygen was confined to the ocean. Thus, oxygen and life forms were confined to the oceans. Thus, oxygen and life forms were confined to the oceans. Full stop. Eventually, ocean was saturated with oxygen. Eventually, ocean was saturated with oxygen. And then later, oxygen began to flood the atmosphere. Eventually, the ocean were saturated with oxygen, and then later, oxygen began to flood the atmosphere. Stop. Today, the atmosphere is a thick gaseous envelope. Today, the atmosphere is a thick gaseous envelope which surrounds the earth from all sides, and it is a significant component of biospheric ecosystem. Significant component of biospheric ecosystem. Next paragraph. Besides providing all necessary gases for the sustenance of all life forms, atmosphere also filters incoming solar radiations. And thus prevents harmful UV rays to reach Earth's surface. Height of the atmosphere is estimated to be around 16 to 29,000 kilometers from the sea level, but 97% of effective atmosphere is up to only 29 kilometer. Okay. Now, there is one important hypothesis which is over here with respect to the interaction of the human with the nature in his surrounding. This particular hypothesis is called as Gaia's hypothesis. Which was given by James Lovelock. What this Gaia's hypothesis is all about? See, in order to understand first of all Gaia's hypothesis, you have to understand a very small concept, although this concept will occur during perspective in human geography when we will study that. But as of now, I will just introduce you that concept over here. First is, like that concept is determinism. Determinism. And the another one is possibilism. What does determinism and possibilism stands? See, when geography was evolving, as I said, there are two aspects which were there in geography. Which were the two aspects? Study of physical aspects of the geography and study of human aspect of geography. So earlier geographers were divided into two sections, two factions. Those two factions were such that one used to believe that nature is supreme and another used to believe that man is the most active agent of the environment. So according to first faction, as in the one who used to consider that nature is supreme, they used to say that it is the nature who controls all act of man. Nature controls all act of man, and whatever nature will do, man has to follow that particular practice. So this is what we call as the practice of determinism. This is what we call as determinism. So determinism talks about the influence of nature, the dominant influence of nature on man's activity. So here determinism says that man is a passive agent in the over the earth's surface, while nature is the active agent. Then came other philosophies, as in Verenius and all those geographers came, and they said that no, possibilism is the actual thing which happens. So what is possibilism? Possibilism says that man is not passive agent, man is rather an active agent, where although possibilism does not altogether deny the role of nature, but what possibilism says is nature provides certain possibilities for the human to develop. Right? Nature will provide certain possibilities in a given environment for the human to develop. Now it is up to human that which possibility he chooses and how it goes forward. This is how possibilism talks about. That means according to him, nature is not altogether passive agent. According to this possibilistic thought, nature is not altogether passive agent, rather it also helps, but it is man who is much more active compared to nature. So man chooses various possibilities according to his own gut feeling, according to his own wish, and then he'll move forward. This is how possibilist philosophy thinks. Now determinism समझ में आया सबको? Your nature is supreme. Charles Darwin was the propounder, as in he was the believer in the deterministic approach. So he said that when he has given his evolution of species concept, when he has given this concept of evolution of species, so he said that various, as in you can see this survival of the fittest, you know, how survival of the fittest. Darwin said that when various species are there in the given environment, whoever will be able to adapt it properly with the environment, then he will survive and another will die. This is what survival of the fittest is all about, है ना? So what does that mean? That you have, like, species will get adapted to the environment and all. That means nature is supreme. That is what he is talking about. That nature will create certain conditions, and if that particular species adapt into that particular environment, then only he will be able to survive. Otherwise, he will not be able to survive. That means most weightage, like more weightage is given to whom? Nature. So Darwin's philosophy was more deterministic in nature, not possibilistic, right? So it was extreme philosophy. So Gaia, as in this, James Lovelock has given this Gaia philosophy. What is this Gaia? Gaia ka matlab kya hai? Gaia is a Greek word which means Mother Earth. Gaia's meaning is Mother Earth. So he said that over this Mother Earth, there is no as such dominance of nature as such. Rather, organic living beings are having an interaction with the organic things over the earth's surface, and they are having a complex relationship with each other, and there is a symbiotic relationship with each other which they are sharing. What does that mean? Human is interacting with the environment, and environment is interacting with the human, and there is a complex intermixture of the relationship which is there between these two, and because of that the entire earth system is stable and maintained. That is what Gaia hypothesis says all about, right? That means there is an interaction which is there. There is an equal interaction which is there between the nature and human. So does that mean that Gaia hypothesis was possibilistic in nature? Do you think Gaia hypothesis was possibilistic in nature? No. There was no possibilism over here. कहाँ पे आया? Possibilism तो है नहीं. What does possibilism says? That nature provides possibilities and the human has to choose those possibilities and all. right? That means human is considered as more active, but Gaia hypothesis, which was given by James Lovelock, it says that no, both of them are equal, both of them are having interaction with each other, and because of that there is a synergistic relationship which is going on over the earth's surface and the earth is stable. This is what Gaia hypothesis is all about. But James Lovelock has also mentioned this, that whenever this interaction between man and environment goes beyond certain level, then it can create certain negative repercussions as well. Why? Because when man intrudes too much into nature's work, then that can result into climate change, that can result into various catastrophes over the earth's surface, forest fires, increased frequencies of droughts, increased frequencies of floods. These activities, these phenomena can increase over the earth's surface. This was the repercussion, this was the implication of too much interaction between the man and nature. That is what Gaia has suggested. So this is Gaia hypothesis is all about. Write down Gaia's hypothesis. According to the idea of natural selection, propounded by the Darwin, there is evolution of the species, where it is constantly adjusting, to the nature or environment, Stop. However, the above view was highly deterministic in nature. As it views nature as the dominant factor, in the evolution of man and environment relationship. Full stop. Such deterministic view was criticized by James Lovelock, who propounded in his Gaia's hypothesis that living organisms interact with their inorganic surroundings on earth. Living organisms interact with their inorganic surroundings on earth, to form a synergistic and self-regulating complex system that helps to maintain and perpetuate the conditions for life on the planet. Stop. Thus, over the period of time, the earth has become more friendly. For the development of life. and there is two-way interaction involved in this relationship, and there is two-way interaction involved in this relationship. देखो, how do you innovate some of the things? Although there is no diagram which is given for this Gaia hypothesis, no diagram which is given. In case UPSC ask Gaia hypothesis, अगर UPSC ने पूछ लिया, तो how do you write that? If you just write down that particular theory without drawing any diagram, then you will not get marks. UPSC expect you to be innovative somewhere. How do you become innovative? You tell me. You have studied this particular. अभी पढ़ लिया सबने, देख लिया ना ये क्या है exactly, ये theory क्या है? How do you innovate diagram? कैसे करोगे? What that theory says, it's a two-way relationship. Two-way relationship, right? So two-way relationship कैसे होती है? Don't you think so? That's it. Don't you think this is also kind of diagram which you can draw? If you become innovative, you will get more marks. Anytime you will get more marks if you become innovative. We are going to do this only. Whenever we write certain theory, अगर कोई diagram नहीं होगा उस पे, तो हम लोग diagram यहीं पे बनाएंगे उसकी. We'll try to innovate that diagram over here itself. ठीक? Done? Then देखो नीचे, one of the consequence of this interaction according to the Lovelock is that one of the consequence of this interaction according to the Lovelock is that this equilibrium is being skewed by skewed S-K-E-W-E-D has been distortion is being distorted by increased human interventions, that threatens not just the planet's biodiversity, but the future sustenance of human beings themselves. Full stop. Thus, according to this view, in order to preserve Mother Earth, in bracket Gaia, Thus, according to this view, in order to preserve Mother Earth in bracket Gaia, our model of interaction should be more sustainable. Our model of interaction should be more sustainable. So this is about Gaia hypothesis. Now let's discuss composition of the atmosphere. Composition of the atmosphere. What is the difference between these two terms, guys? Composition और structure में क्या फर्क होगा? Composition stands what are the components which are there in the atmosphere, while the structure is how atmosphere is structured in terms of temperature, in terms of various properties. What are the different layers which are there within the atmosphere? It may happen that within the structure the composition may also changes, right? Within the structure also composition changes. But what is the overall components of the atmosphere that will form the composition? Okay. So what is composition of the atmosphere? What do you think? Atmosphere is made up of what and what? Gases, water vapor and dust, particulate matter, right? So let's discuss one by one. देखते क्या क्या इसमें. If when we say that atmosphere is made up of gases, so what kind of gases Earth is made up of? Atmosphere is made up of. The most important gas is which one? As in most important nahi. The largest concentration of gas is which one? Nitrogen is there in the atmosphere. How much percentage? 77 point something percentage of nitrogen is there in the atmosphere. Now, why this much amount of nitrogen is there in the atmosphere? क्या काम क्या है इसका? हम तो breathe नहीं करते. We don't breathe, as in we don't require nitrogen for sustenance as such. Then only for nitrogen fixation you require 77% of nitrogen क्या? क्या? Fire. तो कैसे fire? Don't you think oxygen is very much susceptible to fire? Oxygen can lead to fire. So in order to maintain, in order to control the combustible property of the oxygen, nitrogen is present in the atmosphere. Agar nitrogen nahi hota, then we couldn't have lived over the earth's surface, because oxygen would have catch fire instantaneously. So in order to maintain this combustible nature of the oxygen, which is up to 20 to 21%, in order to maintain that, you have nitrogen in the atmosphere. Okay? That is the most important function of atmosphere. Other than that, nitrogen is also required for nitrogen fixation, so it is used by plants for their growth and all. Without plants we wouldn't survive and all those things, that is there. So that is the most important function of this. From where do we get nitrogen? Yes? कहाँ से मिलता है nitrogen? Nitrogen is generally we got nitrogen from degassing activity, from the igneous rocks, withering of the igneous rocks. We also get it from the nitrogen cycle over the earth's surface. So these are the sources through which we get nitrogen from the atmosphere. Now what is the other important gas which is there in the atmosphere? The second one, second highest, oxygen. Oxygen is in the atmosphere, so we all know what is the use of oxygen, right? It is required for the human beings and all living beings over the earth's surface for their overall sustenance. Other than that, oxygen is also required, also is a byproduct of what? Photosynthesis process. It is also required for respiration process. So oxygen ka source kahan se hai? Through photosynthesis mainly. Oxygen is acquired from photosynthesis. Other than that, what is the consequence, as in oxygen ka use kya hai? What is the use of oxygen? It is required for respiration process for the plants. So plants are also surviving because there is a respiration process which is involved. There is a photosynthetic process which is involved. So here comes the role of carbon dioxide as well. But does that mean carbon dioxide is the third important gas which is there in the atmosphere? Third important nahi, third highest gas? No. Atmosphere mein argon is the third highest gas which is there. And the fourth highest gas is which one? Carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide का content कितना है? 0.036% of composition is there with the carbon dioxide. What is the function of carbon dioxide? Carbon dioxide is used for greenhouse gas, for photosynthesis के लिए use होता है सबसे पहले तो. It also used as greenhouse gas and all. That is the basic important function. It maintains the temperature over the earth's surface. This is the reason why over the period of time we are complaining this, that the carbon dioxide level is increasing in the atmosphere and the global warming is increasing, happening because of it. तो ग्लोबल वार्मिंग की जब भी कोई समिट होती है तो उसमें कार्बन रिडक्शन की बात चलती है ना, दैट कार्बन एमिशन शुड बी रिड्यूस्ड एंड ऑल दोस थिंग्स. व्हाई? बिकॉज इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द एमिशन ऑफ कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड इन द एटमॉस्फेयर द ग्लोबल वार्मिंग इज इंक्रीजिंग, राइट? And also it is because what happens is whatever carbon dioxide which you release in the atmosphere, ocean has this property of absorbing that carbon dioxide, you know, for its own process of photosynthesis and all, because there are certain photosynthetic animals which are also there, photosynthetic plant species are also there in the ocean, right? So they require it for photosynthesis. So ocean also absorbs huge amount of carbon dioxide. This is also one of the reasons why it is said that ocean acidification is also going on. Ocean acidification will lead to like depletion, extinction of the various species which are there in the ocean. So global warming has not, global warming does not only have impact over the continental surfaces, it also have impact over oceanic regions because of these. Carbon dioxide plays significant role in that, right? So these are the important gases. Other than that, there is also one important gas which is there in the atmosphere, ozone. Ozone is also one important gas which protects us from the harmful UV rays and all. That is also one of the function of atmosphere. The second, that is also one of the important composition of the atmosphere. Now, the second important thing which is in the atmosphere is water vapor. तो water vapor जो है, ये काम क्या हो इसका? What is the role of water vapor? मैं बता देता हूँ पहले. One is rainfall. You know, it is required for rainfall. What else? Anything else? Any other role of water vapor? Very good. One is reflection of sun rays, that is also some amount of heat which is being maintained over the earth's surface, that is also being maintained by the water vapors in the atmosphere. At the same time, it's not only about reflection, it is also about scattering, giving colors to the sky and all those things. It's water vapor also plays significant role. The rainbow which you see is because of the water vapors which are there, water droplets which are there in the atmosphere, right? At the same time, water vapor also acts as what? Water droplets which are there in the atmosphere, they also act as a greenhouse gas. They also trap certain heat, right? So they are also important for maintaining heat over the earth's surface. So after this particular topic, we are also going to discuss heat budget of the earth. So in the heat budget of the earth, this water vapor and all those things would also come, right? So here, that is the important role of water vapor in the atmosphere. Now, the next important thing is particulate matter. So what is the importance of particulate matter, guys? क्या काम है particulate matter का atmosphere में? Dust particles or the particulate matters which has been released, it's not only about dust particles, even the pollen grains जो होते हैं ना, pollen grain, that is also one of the particulate matter, right? Various chemicals, the atoms of those chemical minerals, small molecules of those chemical minerals, that is also dust particle, particulate matter. Now, all these particles which are scattered in the atmosphere, what is their role? They are responsible for giving rainfall. In what way? They act as a hygroscopic nuclei for the water droplet to form. Dekho, do you know this fact that the condensation will always occur over the surface? Some surface is required for the condensation process to happen. You must have seen that during winter nights. When there is a winter in Delhi, so there is a fog which forms. So when you wake up in the morning and when you go near car or somewhere like that or near trees, so you will see that there are minute dews which are present over that particular car. So that is nothing but the condensation process which is being happened over there. That means condensation always requires some surface for its formation, right? So who provide this surface for the condensation to happen? As in we see fog, right? Fog, that means also there is one, fog is also one form of condensation, okay? So there is some condensation which has happened in the atmosphere. How condensation happened over here? This is because of which we see all like opaque over here. Why? What is the reason for formation of those condensed droplets? Because of dust particles. Dust particles are there in the atmosphere. Water vapor gets condensed near that dust particles and that results into formation of small droplets. Those droplets, when they are in the suspended form in the atmosphere, they result into formation of fog or cloud, right? Now, if those droplets come together and they merge together, then they'll form bigger droplet. That bigger droplet, if the weight, if the carrying capacity of the atmosphere goes beyond the the weight of that particular droplet goes beyond the carrying capacity of the atmosphere, then it will get settled somewhere. एक तो यहाँ पे हो जाएगा या फिर कार के ऊपर, anywhere it can get settled. Or Ultimately, if it is formed in the form of cloud, then it can come over the surface of the earth in the form of rainfall. So basically, condensation process requires surface. That surface is provided by dust particles, and that is the most important function of dust particles in the atmosphere, right, for giving rainfall, for the condensation process to happen, to maintain the humidity of a given area. If the dust particles wouldn't have been there, तो humidity नहीं रहेगी. It is because of the humidity that your body is maintained hydrated. Otherwise, your body will get dehydrated very easily. You will feel dehydrated, and you will get you will feel exhausted more than usual if the atmosphere is dry in nature, because from your body humidity get lost because see, a dry atmosphere is kind of thirsty person who want to drink lot of water, क्योंकि वो खुद भी तो dry है ना, so it want to drink lot of water. So whenever atmosphere is dry, that atmosphere drinks a lot of water from your body, and because of this your body always, whenever it's very dry and hot season, then you have to drink a lot of water. Why? Because that atmosphere is sucking up all those water, that fluids from your body, right? So this is the reason why moisture is required in the atmosphere. Who provide that moisture? Dust particles. That is one thing. Achha, I have one query. I want to ask you this query. When we talk about dust particles, it is said that dust particles are present more in tropical and subtropical areas, sorry, in temperate and the subtropical areas than in the equatorial and the polar areas. As in, the dust particles which are there in the atmosphere, they are less in equator, they are less in polar areas, and they are more in tropical and temperate areas. Why? क्या रीजन होगा इसका? लो रेनफॉल, no, your point is correct, you just have to explain it properly. I am saying that there is an equator region over here, tropics, temperate and polar. My point is, tropical and temperate region has more dust particles than equator and polar areas. That means equator and polar has less dust particles. Why? What might be the reason behind that? Your point was correct. बताओ क्या बोले थे आप? डेजर्ट तो यहाँ पर होगा ना भाई, ट्रॉपिक में. हाई रेनफॉल, तो हाई रेनफॉल से क्या? Whatever dust particles which are there in the atmosphere, they settle down. मैं ये तो बोल रहा हूँ, आप explain तो करो अपने point को. Basically, it's because of the rainfall. Rainfall is more in the equatorial areas. So when there is lot of rainfall, so all dust particles which are there in the atmosphere, they settle down. You can observe over here also. Whenever rainfall happens, Delhi में अगर जब भी rainfall होता है ना, बहुत ज़्यादा rainfall हुआ, then suddenly you feel as if everything is quite clean in the atmosphere. But as soon as if the rainfall is not there for 2, 3, 4 days or for a month or 2 months, then the amount of dust particles in the atmosphere will increase, and then this thing starts becoming opaque, right? So here, this rainfall basically settles down all the dust particles in the atmosphere. This is the reason why equatorial region has less dust particles, and also because of more rainfall, more trees are there in the equatorial areas. So trees does not allow dust, they keep dust particles firm over there over the surface. They does not allow dust particles to get blown away. But and also in the polar areas, what is there in the polar areas? High humidity. At the same time, there is a lot of ice over there. So ice, whatever dust particles are there, suddenly there is a condensation and there is freezing of that particular dust particle happens. The weight of that dust particle goes beyond the carrying capacity of the air. It falls over the surface, and then that results into formation of icebergs or the glaciers. No dust particle, as in less dust particles in the atmosphere. This is the main reason because of which dust particles are less in polar and equatorial areas, but tropical and temperate areas have comparatively lesser rainfall, comparatively higher temperature than the polar areas. This is the reason why dryness prevails more over there. When the dryness prevails more, in that case, physical disintegration of the rock is seen more in temperate and tropical areas. This is the reason why more dust particles can be seen in that particular region. At the same time, most of the population of the world is situated within tropics and temperate regions, because see, equatorial region, evergreen forest, significant evergreen forests are there, so population density is less. Polar areas, population density is extremely less. most of the people will be situated in which region? Temperate and tropical. इसीलिए more and more vehicles exhaust which is being released, then more and more industrial fumes which also get released from the industries. This is the reason why dust particles increases more in the tropical and the temperate areas. Did you understand this? समझ में आया ना? ठीक है. So this is how the composition of the atmosphere can be explained. लिख लो इसमें composition of the atmosphere. Composition of the atmosphere. In that, write down, air is a mechanical mixture of gases, vapors and particulates. Air is a mechanical mixture of gases, vapor and particulates. In that, write down, first is gases. Nitrogen and oxygen form 99% of total atmospheric composition. Nitrogen and oxygen forms 99% of total atmospheric composition, while CO2 is only 0.03%. While CO2 is only 0.03%. Next point, whereas nitrogen is obtained from degassing, withering of igneous rocks. Nitrogen is obtained from degassing. I hope you know what is degassing. Just now I explained over here. तीन चीजें बताई थी which responsible for the formation of the atmosphere over the Earth's surface. One of those three things was which one? Degassing. Gases came out from the Earth's surface. So degassing, withering of igneous rocks, and nitrogen cycle. It helps in controlling the reactive nature of oxygen. And its combustible nature is subdued. Next is O2 is obtained from green plants. Oxygen is obtained from green plants and is necessary for all the living beings on the earth. Next point, CO2 is obtained from degassing. Respiration, burning of fuels. CO2 is obtained from degassing, respiration, burning of fuels, melting of glaciers, soils, decaying of dead organic matters, etc. Stop. It is used by green plants for photosynthesis. And thus maintains the food chain. food chain, full stop. It also helps in maintaining, the atmospheric temperature. It also helps in maintaining the atmospheric temperature by acting as a greenhouse gas. Next is ozone absorbs most of the UV rays. Ozone absorbs most of the UV rays. Okay. Now make a table. In that write down table बनाने से इसमें लिख दो according to its percentage in the atmosphere which gases are present over there. First is nitrogen, 78.08%. Next is oxygen, 20.95%. Next is argon, 0.93%. Next is carbon dioxide, 0.036%. 0.036%. Carbon dioxide, 0.036%. Next is neon, 0.002%. Helium, 0.3 times 0, 5. 0.0005. Neon, 0.0005. Helium. Neon के बाद helium. Neon लिखा ना? 0.002. Helium 0.0005. Krypton 0.0001. Krypton 0.0001. Then xenon 0.4 times 0, then 9. And then finally hydrogen 0.4 times 0 and 5. Next water vapor. ये table हो गया, okay? Then table is done. Now next component is water. Second component is water vapor. In that write down first point, the vapor content in the atmosphere. Ranges from 0 to 5% by volume. Vapor content in the atmosphere ranges from 0 to 5% by volume. Next, they are important as they are prerequisite for the rainfall to occur. They are important as they are prerequisite for rainfall to occur. Third is particulate matter. In that first point, the solid particles present in the atmosphere include dust and salt particles, pollen, smoke and soot. Smoke and soot, and they are mostly kept in suspension. SOOT. And they are mostly kept in suspension. Next point, these particles help in scattering of solar radiations. These particles help in scattering of solar radiations, which gives different colors in the atmosphere, which gives different colors in the atmosphere. Next point, they also act as a nuclei during condensation. They also act as a nuclei during condensation, and thus helps in formation of clouds, water droplets, and thus helps in formation of clouds, water droplets, fogs, etc. Clouds, water droplets, fogs, etc. And give the heading dust particles. Dust particles. Write down dust particles में लिखो. The atmosphere has sufficient capacity. The atmosphere has sufficient capacity to keep small solid particles. The atmosphere has a sufficient capacity to keep small solid particles which may originate from different sources, and include sea salts, comma, fine soil, ash, pollen, etc. Ash, pollen, etc. Dust particles are generally concentrated in the lower layers of atmosphere. Dust particles are generally concentrated in the lower layers of atmosphere. Lower layers of atmosphere. Still, convectional air current. What is convectional air current, guys? Because of heating effect of the surface, when the air start rising up in the atmosphere, it is called as convectional air current. Convectional air current may transport them to greater heights. Full stop. The higher concentration of dust particles is found. In subtropical and temperate regions. Due to dry winds in comparison to equatorial and polar regions. The higher concentration of dust particles is found in subtropical and temperate regions due to dry winds in comparison to equatorial and polar regions. Okay? So this is about your composition of the atmosphere. Now let's discuss this structure of the atmosphere. Okay? The atmosphere is made up of various layers. Various layers are there in the atmosphere. How those layers are defined? You must have heard these terms: troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere. Why this? How these layers have been defined? What are the criterias? What do you think? Criterias kya? Huh? Temperature is one criteria. What else? Density of the air in that particular region, that is another criteria. and various gases, what kind of gases which are present over there, that also defines the layer of the atmosphere in that particular region. So if we see that, let's suppose this is the height of the atmosphere, and let's suppose that this is a temperature graph, like this is x-axis stands for temperature and y-axis stands for height. So guys, remember this diagram, most of the time students get messed up in this diagram. Why? Because what happens is, generally whenever we have studied this x-axis and y-axis, तो हमने बहुत बार क्या पढ़ा हुआ है, either you start from this particular point somewhere, so you start from here or from here. So generally you start from the lower end of x-axis or the lower end of y-axis, but the graph for the composition of the atmosphere, that starts from higher end of x-axis, from here. Why? Because temperature is higher in the troposphere. The lowest layer of the atmosphere is which one? Troposphere. Troposphere is the lowest layer of the atmosphere. Now the property of troposphere is such that as you go up, temperature decreases. The rate at which that temperature decreases, that is 6.5 degrees Celsius per kilometer, which we call as normal lapse rate or environmental lapse rate, or we also call it as standard lapse rate. So these are the three terms generally which we use generally for normal lapse rate. Normal lapse rate, environmental lapse rate or standard lapse rate. This is true only for troposphere, in which as you go up, temperature decreases by 6.5 degrees Celsius per kilometer. Why temperature decreases? And but if the density of the gases decreases, then to in stratosphere temperature is increasing. Even in thermosphere is also temperature is increasing. The temperature in thermosphere is 1500 degrees Celsius. वो कहाँ से आया? The density of the gases is extremely low over there, right? Then why temperature increased over there? What might be the reason? That the temperature over the earth's surface is more, and as you go up, temperature decreases. Very simple. Sun gives certain sunlight over here, insolation falls over the surface of the earth. Earth receives certain heat. As soon as earth receives, it throws it back. It throws it back, but whatever gases, whatever particles which are there in contact with the surface of the earth, they will receive more heat because they are in closer contact with the earth. As particles go away from the earth, overall heating effect will keep on reducing. So the particles which are present on the higher height, they will not be able to receive the heat which is being released by the earth, but the particles which are present over the near the surface of the earth, they will be able to receive that particular heat very easily. This is the reason why over the surface of the earth temperature is high. As you go above, temperature declines, temperature decreases. See, this varies day by day basis, as in every day this keeps on varying. Whenever we say that temperature over the earth's surface, we will say that generally temperature over here is this much, and from here we will draw this particular graph. But this temperature itself gets varied. Why? Because during daytime temperature is more, during night time temperature is less. On the continents temperature is different, on the ocean temperature is different. During summer season temperature is high, during winter season temperature is less. If you go in some region has more trees, in that case temperature would be low. In the case where there are lesser trees and there is desert area, temperature will be high. So point is, temperature can vary on various parts of the earth's surface, but in geography generally we tend to take average of all places. An average of all places suggests that temperature over here remains around, let's say 15 degrees Celsius. 15 degrees Celsius is the average temperature of the earth's surface. Okay, so temperature from here decreases as you go up. How much up you have to go? 18, 16. नहीं, इतना ज़्यादा नहीं पढ़ना. On an average, the height of troposphere is how much? 12 kilometer, 12 to 13 kilometer. But 16 to 17 भी तो है. कहाँ पर है? Where do we have that much height? Equator. The height of troposphere is more at equator compared to height of troposphere in the polar areas. Why? Shape of the earth. There are two reasons behind this. There are two reasons. क्या बताओ? तो उससे क्या होगा? तो आगे बताओ। और नहीं, ओजोन तो अलग बात बता दी आप। एक्चुअली द रीजन व्हाई द टेम्परेचर एज यू गो अप the temperature decreases and the height of troposphere is more in the equator, it is lesser at the pole. Very simple. Whenever you heat up the air, don't you think that air will expand? Air expand when you heat up. Where do you think the heat is more? In equator or in polar areas? So air expands, height increases. At the same time, and in the polar areas, heat, like it's very cold over there. So high pressure is there, compact density is more. This is the reason why air shrink over there. This is the reason why that. And the other thing is, gravity is also one factor. That is also one of the factor. Gravity at the equator is high or low? It is lesser, because it is away from the center. As you all know that the shape of the earth is what? Spherical. It is not exactly, it's not spherical, it is geoid. It's not exactly spherical in nature. So it's geoid, where it is flattened at the poles, it is bulged out at the equator. So when it is bulged out at the equator, the part over equator is farthest from the center, while the part which is there over the pole, that is closest to the center. So gravity would be more over polar areas, gravity would be less in the equatorial areas. This is also one of the reasons why gases tend to go outwards, while here gases stays over the surface because of the more gravity over there. This is the reason why overall air is like the height of troposphere is less in the polar areas, but as you go in the equatorial region, the height is more. Theek? But overall, see, the height of troposphere in the equator is 16 to 17 km, while the height of troposphere in the polar areas is 6 to 7 km. But on an average, we consider height around 12 to 13 km of this troposphere. So on an average, height is 12 km. From here onwards, there is one layer where there is constant temperature maintained for some time. That particular layer is called as tropopause. This is troposphere, where temperature decreases by 6.5 degrees Celsius per kilometer, which we call this as or standard lapse rate. Okay? Now as you there is another property of troposphere. In troposphere, generally most of the atmospheric phenomena is present. Why? Because most of the gases of the atmosphere are present. Most of the gases, most of the pressure belts, planetary winds, everything is present in the troposphere. This is the reason why most of the atmospheric phenomena such as cloud formation, rainfall, whatever you can suggest, everything is present in troposphere. That is mostly present in troposphere. I will not say everything. Most of the atmospheric phenomena are present in troposphere. That is the most important property of the troposphere. Now as you go up, the temperature starts increasing. This particular layer is called as so in stratosphere, temperature increases as you go up. Why do you think temperature increases, guys, over there? Because of ozone. Because of the ozone layer over there, temperature increases. What happens is, actually, why ozone layer increases temperature over there? Because when sunlight is falling over certain oxygen molecules, so oxygen molecules split into two parts. So two oxygen atoms are formed. Finally, those oxygen molecule and oxygen atom reacts with the ozone, and then there is continuous interconnection, as in there is continuous conversion of O3 into O2 and O2 into O3. This continuous conversion which is going on. Because of this continuous conversion, there is continuous release of heat which is being taken place over there, and because of this, the temperature increases in the stratosphere. Right? So the major reason because of which temperature increases is not because of ozone, rather there is continuous conversion of O3 into O2, O2 into O3. That results into continuous increase in temperature in the stratosphere as you go up. So temperature increases in the stratosphere as you go up. If I say most of the atmospheric phenomena occurs over here, that is false, obviously. So does that mean there is no atmospheric phenomena occur over here? Yes, there are certain atmospheric phenomena occur in this particular layer. What are those? Cirrus clouds. Cirrus cloud is a type of cloud which forms in the very high altitude. It does not have enough rain, rain bands. So it will not give rain as such. But that is a cloud which form because of the condensation process, क्योंकि cloud तो वैसे ही बनता है. So when the condensation process is applied, then only the cloud will form, and that cloud is generally present over here in the lower part of stratosphere. So if this is present, atmospheric phenomena has to be there. At the same time, there is some very important jet streams which are also moving over here. We call them as polar night jet stream. There are polar night jet stream which forms in the stratosphere, in the lower part of stratosphere. These polar night jet stream generates only during winter season. They generate only during winter season in the polar region. This is the reason why this polar night jet streams are formed in the stratospheric part. So this is also one phenomena which occurs in the stratosphere. The part of the stratosphere where there is maximum concentration of ozone, देखो, the ozone concentration is least in the lower part of stratosphere. This is the reason why it is said that temperature remains constant for some time and then that increases in the stratosphere. This is the actual process. Rather than saying temperature only increases, the more precise way of saying is temperature remains constant for some time and then it increases. Why? Because ozone is lesser in the lower part of stratosphere, then ozone increases in the middle part, and then that again decreases in the upper part. The part of the stratosphere in which ozone is there, that is called as ozonosphere, or it is also called as chemosphere. Ozonosphere or chemosphere. Okay. Then after that you have, अच्छा ये क्या, इसको क्या बोलते हैं? Stratopause. Then after that you have which layer? Mesosphere. Mesosphere is there. What is the height of mesosphere? 80 km. This, what is the height of stratosphere? 50 km. On an average, in equator that can go more, 65 to 70 km. So 80 km is the height of mesosphere. What is the property of mesosphere? Why is it, why temperature decreases over there? Because there is no significant gas which will absorb heat for mesosphere. At the same time, what is the another significance of mesosphere? When we, have you ever seen that when the meteor is coming from the from outside the earth, when it enters into earth's atmosphere, it starts burning. सबको पता ही है? The layer in which that meteor start burning, that layer is mesosphere. So meteors start burning सबसे पहले over here. Right? This is the property of mesosphere. The layer of transition over here, again it is called as mesopause. Okay. Then after that, again you go up. यहाँ पे क्या है? Temperature increases. So this particular layer is called as thermosphere. Now in thermosphere, as you go up, temperature increases. Why temperature increases? Because it is said that some nitrogen and oxygen is concentrated in this particular layer which absorbs certain heat, and this is the reason why in thermosphere temperature increases. But see guys, the overall air which is there in the thermosphere, that is so low, overall air is so rarefied over there that even after having 1500 degrees Celsius of temperature over there, overall heating effect is less. That means if you go in the thermosphere, virtually imagine that if you can go in thermosphere and if you take out your hand, still you will not feel any burning sensation. Why? You feel cold or warm only when there are certain particles which touches your body. So here, basically, even if you take out your hand, you will not feel any burning sensation even after having 1500 degrees Celsius of temperature over there in the thermosphere. Why? Because of rarefied form of atmosphere. So atmosphere is extremely rarefied in the thermosphere. Otherwise, what is the height of thermosphere, guys? Up to height of 500 to 1000 kilometer it can be, but 500 kilometer generally is considered as the height of thermosphere. The part, अब इसके ऊपर का होगा क्या होगा, ionosphere होगा क्या? Ionosphere is present within thermosphere. So here ionosphere is present within thermosphere. What is the height of ionosphere? It is present from around 90 kilometer up to 500 kilometer to 400 kilometer. Ions are formed over here. Ions as in positive and negative charges are formed over here because of the nitrogen and the oxygen molecule atom. Because of that ionosphere, ions are formed. Because of this process, most of the radio transmissions from the earth happens through this particular region. At the same time, our satellites are mostly present in this particular region, so that radio transmission can take place from here. So radio transmission can take place from the thermosphere. That is the importance of thermosphere. I've also heard one question from some student that what is the economic significance of various layers in the atmosphere? This is quite innovative question which somebody can ask. What is the economic significance of, batao? Either radio transmission, one economic significance, satellite, yes, that is also one of the economic significance. Mesosphere ke andar kya hai? As such, there is no significance over here, but stratosphere has significance. As in, yeah, mesosphere is also one significance, that the supersonic jets, they travel through mesosphere. Then if you have normal aeroplane, they will travel through stratosphere. So normal aeroplanes travel through stratosphere. Then again troposphere. So generally when the airplane want to get more speed, then they will travel through this upper part of troposphere, so that jet stream will help them to move forward. So that is also one thing. And at the same time, troposphere has so much economic significance, and the waterfall happens because of it, and rainfall happens because of it, and all those things happens like rainfall, formation of like development of agriculture, development of economy, all those things happens because of troposphere. So this is how you will write about, if the question is like what is the economic significance of the various composition of the atmosphere, structure of the atmosphere. Now, do we have any transition layer over here? Thermopause hai kya? We don't have thermopause. Why? Because in next layer is exosphere, where temperature again increases as you go up. So there is no clear-cut boundary which is being defined between thermosphere and exosphere. There is no clear-cut boundary which is being defined over here. In exosphere, temperature increases. Why temperature increases in the exosphere? Because mostly hydrogen and helium molecules are floating over here. Right? So this is the entire structure of the atmosphere. What is the total height of this exosphere? It starts from 500 to 1000 kilometer, and it can go up to whatever length. And that is the height of exosphere. As such, because of the extreme rarefied form of the atmosphere, exosphere is not of that much significance as such. Okay? So this is the entire structure of your atmosphere. So we'll stop here today. Then I want to tell you one thing. All the students who are over there in the online class also, and you are sitting over here, I just want to make one WhatsApp group. We'll all be having one WhatsApp group. We all be there over there. If certain if some online students are there, if they want to post certain answers, they can post that answer on that WhatsApp group, so that I'll be able to check that. Even sometimes what happens is, it is not possible for us to write down everything, because there are so many things to write. So in that case, what we'll do, I'll give you certain I'll give you certain notes on your WhatsApp group. I'll keep giving you notes on the WhatsApp group, or we'll get it done over here in the printed format. But writing everything is not possible, so WhatsApp group helps a lot in that particular case. While reading any particular topic, if you have any doubt also, so if you want to ask those doubt at any time in a day, so you can just put that message on the WhatsApp group and I'll solve that doubt. Okay, so this is my WhatsApp number. Do one thing, you pin me on this particular number and I'll add you into the group which I'll form. ठीक? ठीक है? चलो, let's stop over here. We'll continue on Monday. Thank you.